Everyone, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm Mizuho from Tokyo and
This is Virginia from Hong Kong.
thank you very much, Maya, for the introduction. We are very excited to show our exhibition tonight or in the morning if you are in North America. And tonight, firstly, we'd like to talk about how we came up with this exhibition. At the moment, when we met up in Tokyo at Moriarty Museum, I just came back from New York, and Virginia just came from Hong Kong as an intern. And then we were talking about our different experiences at workplace and then in a society. And then also we had a mutual friend who is also contributed to this exhibition a lot, Momo Takeuchi. And then we three head-to-head talked about our experience as a female in a Japanese society or East Asian society against sometime West against sometime male gaze in East Asian society. And then we thought this experience could be shared with other females in East Asia, and then also should tell this story to the rest of the world. And that's how we came up with this exhibition, which is right now.
Actually, I remember like three of us, like you, me, and Momo. And then we sat in the little cafe in Shibuya. And then we're like, you're telling us that, I really want to join Apex Art Open Call. And then we say, okay, let's do something. But what connects us? Like what connects three of us? Like Momo is just coming back from UK, and then I come from Hong Kong. And then we both like a kind of suffering from living in Japan as a female. Especially at that time, I was told that female in Japan, I don't know if it's a rumor or not, or it's a fact that female in Japan, they used to wear socks. They must wear socks when they're in the office. And that kind of annoys me, like how, because I don't like wearing the transparent long socks, you know. And yeah, and then you also told me that there are so many expectations and many hierarchies in your career path. So there are so many obstacles in Japan, and I think that's kind of the beginning, the start point for us to
Right. And then we three with somewhat different backgrounds, but identifying ourselves as a female in East Asian society, I felt that there is definitely a need, and then some things must be changed over the course of a few years, or hopefully in a few years, or maybe a decade. And then this exhibition is about that. And then thus we are showing 5 different emerging artists in East Asia from different countries / regions, and Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and mainland China. And then I also must say that on March 8th, 3 days ago, was International Women's Day. And then Ryan, if you can show the video of Google, that's just a little sad to also see the video here, which celebrates the females all over the world, but unfortunately we see no East Asian females represented in this video. And then we feel that that's pretty much kind of like standard thing in Western countries. We are not white, but we are also not Black or Hispanic or Southeast Asian, which historically were regarded as like developing countries or global South. We don't belong to neither, and thus it is pretty much, it happens frequently that we feel kind of invisible, and then we don't belong to either of the society, and thus we fell into this like dark spot that no one cares about us. We cannot even ourselves find a role model as to be as to how to be a female or how to be a woman in East Asian society. Although our gender gap report in 2021 shows Japan is ranked 120th, and which is the worst of the G7 countries, and then China is 107th, and then thank you, and Korea is the 102nd. We are all so behind the world, but we still cannot see how females in East Asia should be or are supposed to be or could be. We are supposed to have we're supposed to be pretty much rich or fulfilled, country-wise, economically. However, we also cannot find ourselves how to be equal to guys in a society, or how to be equal to any other nations in a society. And then I think it's good to see this exhibition, because this exhibition also introduces that struggle that East Asian females have worldwide, while also Wong Kai-in, she's also participating in tonight's talk, and also Betty Apple also show one of the ways to be female, or one of the ways to express ourselves in a society.
Actually, I have one point to respond to this chart. Is I just read an article from The Guardian today. It was released earlier today. Today means Hong Kong time, all right. So it was news about the Korean presidential election. I don't know if any audience have paid attention on that news. So let me read the title. It's called Devastated. Gender equality hopes on hold as anti-feminist voted South Korea's president. So actually, like when we are having this exhibition 2 years ago, at that time, the gender equality situation in South Korea is not that optimistic. Like there is a research so shows that nearly 70% of the young men in South Korea, they have anti-feminist views, which is actually, this is a debate triggered by the popular film called Kim Ji-young, born 1982. So in Korea, there is an anti-feminist movement. But in today's news, I just saw that the president-elect, which the candidate is called Yoon Suk-yeol. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but he just won in this election because, and someone has seen this win as a setback for gender equality in this country, because Yoon has blamed the country's low birth rate on feminism. And also she called for the abolishment of the gender equality ministry, because he thinks that the ministry has put too much resources on female, but rather than male, and that's unequal, quoted. So yeah, this is the note for Mizuho's chart.
Yeah, okay, let's have a look at the artworks.
So to give a background information about this exhibition, it was actually a physical exhibition. It was held in the Floating Projects art space located in the Jockey Club Creative Arts Center in Hong Kong. Actually, this exhibition was supposed to held 2 years ago, like no, in the last year in Japan, but due to the severe COVID situation, it was relocated to Hong Kong. And actually, we want to thank Apex Art team for the support all along, because it was a really challenging show. It has different location and we are liaising with different artists from the 5 countries. So it's really, really, really challenging. And thank you for Elizabeth and Maya's great work. Yeah, so actually we are now having this physical exhibition, and we are still asking ourselves, like, what's the point of having a physical exhibition at this time? Because Hong Kong's COVID situation is really bad at this. So yeah, that's the point. Why physical? Ms. Zhou, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, it's still, I think it's still worthwhile for people to have a physical place, or kind of like evacuation place for female to feel safe in a way, as like at the beginning. And then also this exhibition prepared this like gene section where people can read books about feminism and also express their opinions there, which can also work as a kind of like communication way between the visitors. So hopefully this exhibition provides somewhat help for people to be inspired, but also share their own experience, so that we can have, even that's a loose one, sort of like sense of belonging and engagement together.
That's what I think. Yeah. Actually, like in Hong Kong, like we are all from different countries and different regions, and this exhibition has different languages. We have the bilingual essay printed in on our leaflet, and actually, me and Mizuho, we the preparation of this exhibition is always through online meeting, and we haven't seen each other for a long time. And actually, Mizuho are always saying, I want to come to Hong Kong for this exhibition. So yeah, I think this is like seems like we are all on an isolated island and we cannot really talk to each other. And so we think by this exhibition, its meaning is even larger nowadays because it really connects us all. And actually, Floating Project is a very compact space. It's not very big, but it provides the right space, the right size for us to put these 5 artworks together. What we are showing right now is the scene corner, and this is actually, yeah, let me jump a bit. So the scene corner is actually responding to the Hong Kong, the context in Hong Kong, because we want to show the 5 artworks, the 5 artists' work. And besides of that, we also want to show some female creators in Hong Kong who are making zines to express their living situations as a female. Okay, so this is the view that we entered the space, and the first video, which belongs to Dong Jinling. So this artwork is called Dong Jinling 2-1 for the photography, and also Dong Jinling 2-2 for the video. And actually, let me give a brief introduction of Dong Jinling. So she was born in 1986. Actually, all of our artists are quite young, born after 1980s. And she was born in China, in Lianyungang, which is a small city in Jiangsu province. And then she started her art career from 2010. And she currently lives and works in Beijing. Actually, her artwork is quite significant in using powerful language to show her struggles towards the social systems and towards the powerful repressions. Yeah, and actually I want to mention her past works before mentioning this artwork. So her past works actually uses body a lot to express her personal feelings towards the power system. Especially there is an artwork called A Large Chair. And the large chair is a video in which she just put a huge black chair in the open air, and then she does not wear any clothes, but then was family. There's constantly a depressing darkness owing to her father and her brother's autocracy and control. So she was quite dissatisfied towards the powerful intangible authority, both.
It looks like we lost Virginia for a moment. Her internet has been a little tricky. Mizuho, do you want to keep going?
Yeah, sure. So this artwork is about Dong Jillian's own experience in China. where females are supposed to give birth to children by like breastfeeding is the only way, and then like in the most beautiful way to raise children. And then her photograph on the right also shows very unbalanced breast of herself. One is way smaller than the other, which just shows how, as a mother, she needs to sacrifice herself to raise the children. She only gave a birth from one breast and then kept the other as like not untouched, but like not the one to breastfeed the baby. Okay, we can move on to the next artist. There's these two crows hanging from the ceilings are from the same artist from Korea. Her name is Nayeon Jeon. And then on the on one cross, we see artist herself is covered with mud, and then the other shows the residue of her existence at the corner of a room. This was actually a performance that she did. And then we are now showing this a documentation of the performance. What she's showing is that her own experience in the UK and in the US. And Nayeon went to a university in the UK and the US where she felt this kind of like stereotypical view against her as a Korean female. She felt there was like a need that she has to meet, like being obedient, being cute, being quiet, not being a little shy about what she wants to do, while that's not, according to her, while that's not who she is. She was constantly thrown that gaze at her, and then was covered with the expectations against her. And then at the very end, she felt as if she lost her own identity in these countries, which you can see on the residue side of the cloth. And then lastly, this artwork is titled Catch or Throw. She threw some mud back, but the more she has gotten thrown mud way more than she threw back. We can move on to the next artwork, which is at the very end, and it quietly hanging from hanging on the wall, two pieces. One is smaller than the other. This artwork is by the Japanese artist Kai Ogaya, and then the title is The Stars and Sky. And then the smaller one has this like cape thing hanging from the tiny embroidery kit. And then although it looks, both of the pieces look completely dark and black, this was actually not completely dark. If you can come in and on site, I wish you to just like examine it closely, but it has some like white sleds embroidered on the black clothes. This the blackness we can see are actually the photo, like mega version of the photographs that the artist took of the photo of her leg, and then the white part is the scars that females get while shaving our leg hair. And then this apparently goes against our nature. However, to be beautiful and then to meet the female, the expectation of the society to be a female, we were supposed to repeat this action to damage our skin for the whole life. And then that trace, is left on our skin, and then we have to live with that. And then the reasons the artist chose this like really delicate ephemeral prose is that partially, as Virginia first said, reminds us of the stockings that we workers, the female workers were supposed to wear every single day. And then also the delicateness and the softness is what we were supposed to have as a nature of a female. And then on the right, at the very wall, we can see Betty
So
Apple's.
sorry, I just went.
Yeah, on the right side of the Kaiogaya, we have Betty Apple's
Okay, sorry.
videos. Virginia, do you want to introduce about this artwork?
Oh yeah, sure. I just wanted to let's introduce Betty's work first, and then let's go back to Dongjin's artwork because I went offline accidentally right just now. So she actually she's also a very young artist, and she just get her MA in New Media Art at Taipei National University of Arts. And then she's known for her powerful and sometimes provocative live performance work. So she is a sound artist and also a performance artist. And here we show her series of the Vibrator Love of Sound series. And then we select the most significant three videos out of this series, which is the number 2, which is in Taipei in 2012, and then the number 6 in Berlin 2014, and then number 14 in 2019. So actually this series, she was keep doing this for several years, from 2012 to 2021, and even ongoing. And even tonight, the performance after this guided tour is also a continuous series in this series. Okay, so actually the 3 performances she did is using the found object from the vibrators to some electronic devices and to even some shopping carts. So she's using this found object to create sound. And actually this sound is sometimes not music or not good voice, but actually it's a sound of yin. Yin is the Chinese concept yin and yang. So she called it the sound of yin, the sound of female, because actually the male sound or the yang sound is well controlled and is well organized. But for the female sound, it's sometimes chaotic and sometimes out of control. But actually it's through this out of control that you can find your own freedom through it. And yeah, let's see some, not sure if you can also hear the sound. So the video is actually the recording from the and you can see she is using some found objects to create sound. And there were vibrators on the table too. And so why using the vibrators is because she thinks that the vibrators is a metaphor. Like she's putting the vibrators on the water, and which will also happen in tonight's show. So, and the vibrator will create a sound, and the sound is enlarged. Okay, I think that's all for it now. And yeah, so actually, thanks, Ryan. So actually the objects are metaphors of the post-industrial society. So Betty thinks that for the vibrator is actually reflects people's demand on one-time use and disposable and multiple times of climax, and which is it's not true. It's just a product shaped by the industrial world, and that's why she is using this to kind of subvert the ways of living in this world by using her body to interact in this process. And yeah, so actually, I think she's performance is kind of beyond gender, actually. It's kind of towards the post-human ways of living, because sometimes she's dressing like a little mermaid and sometimes dressing like non-human style as well. So we'll see her show later for the performance. And actually, if you have the headphone, please remember to wear headphone for her show later. And also this time she will invite a photographer called Lin Jianwen, and he is a photographer used to study in and live in New York and then come back to Taipei, and he will be the one to photograph tonight's performance as well. So that's it for Betty Apple. And then let's go back to Dongjin Lin. I haven't finished.
I actually covered for you.
Oh, really? Thank you. Thank you, Mizuho.
Mhm.
So, okay, the last artwork is KY's artwork. So Wong Ka-ying is a Hong Kong artist, and her artwork is named Ain't Know Your Fortune. So this is the artwork, this is actually a touring artwork. It was showed in multiple places over the world. And since Ka-ying is here tonight, so maybe Ka-ying, you can talk about your artwork for a bit.
Hi, everyone. Virginia, do you want to show, do you want me to show a close-up?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it will be better for the understanding. Hi, so thank you for Virginia and Mizuho include me in the exhibition. This work, Ain't Know Your Fortune, was originally made in 2019 and firstly exhibited in London and was planned to do a tour exhibition to Copenhagen and then Thailand, but later the COVID-19 broke out and then it was never going anywhere except London. And after that, it was exhibited in few places in Hong Kong and other cities, but not in New York and not in Japan. And I'm really looking forward to see the show will be on tour in the future. So this work was made under the context of how feminism can help slowing down the global warming, or the world it's suffering environmentally, but at the same time, women it's also suffering under the context of, you know, environmental pollution and stuffs. And there are more than 30 non-binary artists participated in that London group exhibitions. And I took the context of excessive consumerism and also excessive production in factory, the concept of it, how these production creates a contamination to the environment. And I dig into some research about these industrial pollution and found that there's often related to slavery laboring in the factory in many countries, for example, China, Vietnam, or India. And it's always related to young girls or female being sold right after they are capable to work in factory so that they can make a living for their entire family. And it is so often seen in many big factories that provide products all over the world. And so I was very upset to see this situation hasn't been improved so much even till now. And it relates me to the scenario when I came across whenever I came across fortune cookies in other countries, it seems like a symbol of Chinese, and the figure and also the form of the fortune cookies are so similar to our genitals, female genitals, the labia. And I create an image of the fortune cookies with a sense of humor, combining with the images of labia to make fleshy cookies to be distributed on the exhibition venue, because I want to make a really interactive form of art that can be understood by several countries of people. Even when it goes to tour, it is handy and you can bring it home. You can discuss with people how you think about a product being produced in China, for example, or different other countries, mass produced, and to represent our body, our laboring, like physical laboring. And I play with the pun of fortune, the word. It sometimes mean luck and it sometimes mean your access. So being born as a female, biological female, in some country, you may say it can be luck because you are spoiled. You got many privileges as told by the misogynist, you're a privileged female. But most of the countries, according to studies and research and data showing that actually our body, it's some products to be sold. And so I played with the pun of, so we can think about the issue of fetishism, how our body, our female body are being treated as access that can exchange with economic value, and then it's never a luck for myself or for many people, for many our sisters who are still suffering under the big, global industrial ecosystem. So this is pretty much my work, and it consists of many pins of the images of the La fortune cookies, and also a handmade fortune cookies box, and a video of me putting the strip you can find inside the fortune cookie, inside my vagina, and do a very deep video to discover what you can read after you break down the fortune cookies. Yeah, so this is my work. Thank you.
Thanks, KY. Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful explanation. And then I do find this word interesting because sometimes women are consumed by the global system, but actually we can also like to subvert the system by ethical consumption or by participating in this global consumption system with more conscious and more awareness on the ethical issues involved. Yeah. So I think that's all for the 5 artworks here. If you have any questions, please do drop your questions in the chat and we will respond to you after Betty Apple's show. And so are we now having some break now?
Yeah, just before we go to the break,
maybe I can pass the time to Apex Arts.
Yeah, just before we go to the break, I was wondering if you want to tell us a bit about that, what we're seeing now, the zine section. And I know we might not be able to see the close-ups of the zines, but they're so beautiful. And I wonder if you want to just talk a little bit about this station in the space.
Virginia, do you want to go?
Thank you, Maya. Of course. So this scene is actually I invited. Yeah, sure. So can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
So actually we invited 5 scene makers from Hong Kong to display. Yeah. So to display their artworks, and these scenes, let me read their names. So there are 7 of them, including I Won't Burn My Bra, it's by Puying, and then Malat Ladies Room, it's by Winnie, a young student. She was like expressing her experience in the female toilet, because sometimes people think that female toilets are dirty, and maybe the period coming thing is quite dirty, but actually it's no. And she was covering this experience. And then Lesson Learned from Life Model, it's by Charlotte Lui. Like Charlotte was trying to express her experience of drawing, having the drawing lesson in front of a life model. And she was thinking like, what image should female be? What's the ideal image? Maybe there is no ideal image. Life model can be fat, can be old, and which is also good. And then Charlotte Lui also did another scene called What Is It to Be a Woman? And the last 2 is by Choi Ho Lam. Choi Ho Lam's From Feeling to Felt, they said, and Here, There, Elsewhere, and Within Here. So these 2 zines are the poetic expressions of her feeling of being a woman. And then the last one is Xiu Ding's The Theory of Absence. it. So Xiuding is actually a very powerful scene maker because her zines is always related to female, related to LGBT, or related to the gender relationship. Yeah, so I think scene making is actually a very powerful way to resist to the existing freedom of expression in scene. Like no one can control your expression, and you can use very creative ways to make your own zines. So actually, we also provided some simple tools and some A4 size papers here. So the audience, the visitors, after they visit the show, they can sit here and then maybe think about what they just saw and maybe read some zines and then do their own zines. So we are very glad to see that happen. And actually some people already left their zines in this corner too. And actually we're encouraging them to give the zine to other people, to give it to their friends.